Hi, this is Moise. I'm bringing this video to show you Nagios alerts to mobile. The Nagios is I don't need to deep dive into the Nagios actual concept. So assuming that you have already knowledge and have idea on Nagios, if you don't have, refer or my videos. So this video is brought to you by TechMark Solutions, and the TechMark Solution is in the consulting and also in the training. You can consult for network support and infrastructure support and cloud support by visiting us at www.techmarksolution.co.uk. Also drop a mail to info@techmarksolution.co.uk. I'm using these below specification to show you the demo. The operating system I'm going to use is 7, and the Nagios package, server package, I'm using Nagios Core 4X. So what does Nagios check? It checks the periodically. Whatever the period you define, it go and check the details for that specific remote host or remote device. So what authorization does it uses to get the information from the remote machine or remote device? You have two options using SNMP. Another one is client agent software from the Nagios can be used to authorize the Nagios server to pull and push the data from the remote servers. What are the remote application or servers does this Nagios can monitor centrally? Windows Server, Linux or physical or virtual and devices like firewall and switches. Hardware, disk. What are the in terms of hardware? What you can monitor with the Nagios? So the hardware very much important, like just capturing the data related to disk information. So it can provide you the disk utilization, free space, used space, and when to trigger an alert. When you can define the threshold for your disk information, how your disk has to be monitored, and when information has to be sent to the group of engineers sitting or responsible to manage this infrastructure. And the memory, CPU, all these can be monitored directly from Nagios. And in terms of network, you can monitor ping, whether the network is whether the remote machine able to respond to your ping, and packet loss or latency inflow, latency and traffic inflow and the outflow. All this can be monitored in terms of network. Apart from hardware and network, what else you can monitor? The most important is the service. You can monitor services listening on TCP port or UDP port, or services directly like Apache, Asterisk, Stormcat, all services which has its port number and has the TCP or UDP. All these services can be monitored. For extensive information about the particular service like Apache, you can use the plugins to enhance the information or to get more minute details from the Apache status of remote Apache status of remote server can be drilled down into the detailed report or detailed information using the plugins. So there are about thousands, I don't know how many, the native plugins itself is thousands, and there may be third-party plugins you can use, or you can write your own plugin using a Python or Shell or whatever you are good with. You can write your own sort of plugin. Threshold, you can define different threshold values to monitor Nagios. Warning and critical. Warning is just before something totally down or before something very serious, and the critical, you have no buffer time to take the action upon. So this is how you have to define your threshold values, when to trigger as warning alert, so that you will have a buffer time to get things fixed up. And notification can be sent to a one user or a group of users. And notification mode, you can use email, voicemail, or phone call, or SMS. In this video we are using SMS. This is the demo is about SMS. So we are using this SMS API provider, the fast.sms.co.uk. You can go and search your local provider and also find out the documentation, refer the documentation, and the concept wise it's pretty much similar, and the configuration wise also equally similar. So the same set of settings can be leveraged in order to configure with the different APIs or different providers. The basic concept about configuring it is almost same. So register your SMS account with one of the following service provider, and also refer the pricing and the packages they are offering, and also if you want you can negotiate with the vendor to get the best deal upon your requirement. And this is what the URL I'm using in the overall demo to get the SMS integration and buy the package or log in and generate the token. All this I'll be doing from this URL. And developer guide, within this provider I have a developer guide. I can go and basically look at the developer instructions, like how I can use this API and what sort of attributes I need to pick it from there, and need to test it in our Nagios before implementing directly into the Nagios. I need to test it from this command line. What are the actions and what are the attributes I should know. That the most important token is like authentication. The syntax information like token is like authentication code within the RESTful API, and the source address from where you want to send it from. The firm address, like you can use your company brand name, any name you make which makes sense to you. A body, the actual text message in the body will be the body. Destination address, recipient number, to whom you want to send this message to. This you can add the multiple recipient numbers or single recipient number. So that's how the syntax looks like. You can go and see the detailed information on a developer guide within this service provider. It has its separate dedicated URL for you to refer in order to add the developer license. The entire installation and configuration is divided in 4 steps. Step 1 to step 4. Step 1 is just to register with the vendor and the service provider, SMS service provider, and generate the token. This is the token key where you'll use authorization and authentication to send the API request to the service provider. The request is sent from the Nagios to the provider to send the messages via the gateway. That will be covering the step 1, and the step 2 Nagios configuration to integrate the SMS API. The whole requirement about this video and this document is just to integrate this SMS API to the Nagios so that the alerts can be sent directly on mobile. That sending mobile information to the mobile can be to one specific user or a group of users. Defining who can receive the alerts and what are the group users can receive the alerts. You can send the alert directly to an end user, a single user, maybe a group of users. That part will be covered in the step 3, defining users and groups. And the 4th one is very important, when to trigger an alert. When you have services running in a remote servers, maybe all the services may not be equally critical, but there are some services which maybe are related to production, can be very critical. Maybe some disk information is always critical, or maybe huge bandwidth traffic coming into the server may be critical. So it depends upon like which piece of infrastructure you'll consider as critical. Then you can trigger that alert, and the trigger when something is deviated from the threshold, you can trigger the alert directly by defining these, enabling the notification at the service level or host level. So you can enable the alert only specific to the service within the host or entire host. So that depend upon your configuration where you make the alerts enabled. Next, step 1, register the token. Register and generate the token. This token is like authentication, as I said before. As I'm giving you the demo on the fastsms.co.uk, the token can be generated directly from the user settings and preference API generate token. These tokens can be created as many as you want, and you can delete this. In this demo I'm creating this token just to demonstrate how the API can work and how this can be integrated with Nagios. So just quickly let me take you to, this is where my account is created with fastsms.co.uk. I have 98 balance credit remaining. I can send almost 98 SMS through this account. That's how my account has the balance with. So what I can do here is to create the API key. I need to get into the preference setting. Before getting into the preference setting, where is this is the developer URL. This will take you the developer knowledge base article within the provider. So there are different ways that you can integrate SMS API using HTTP request or XML request or PHP. If you are good at the PHP coding, you can use the PHP method or something like that. But in our case, we'll be sending the RESTful request directly from HTTP API. So we're gonna refer this. There are different ways that you can use this SMS for sending SMS or receiving SMS or creating user or many within the API, but our requirement is about the sending messages. And just get it to the sending messages section, where you will be taken directly into you will be landing directly into the send message section, where you can see what are the information you have to use when you intend to send something or using this RESTful API. What are the parameters and what are the attributes you need to pass on when sending HTTP request to the provider using RESTful API that you need to use. If you want to use that sort of all these can be used in one request or maybe a certain. So in our case, we'll be using destination address, source address and body. These are the informations we are going to use. This is the sample. He will be this is the API URL, and the token whatever you generates here can be leveraged and send action. What action you are, this is the area where you will define it, whether you send this request is to send the message or receive the message. Action is depending upon how you want to perform the action upon the API request. That's for sending. So destination address means you can define all the mobile number within the region where this API is based on. So numbers can be separated by comma. You can assign more than one number. And source address API means you can use any sort of name. And body, here actual message will be sent. It can be a static values or dynamic value. As Nagios required a dynamic information to be sent when something some service is down or some problem occurred with the Nagios remote host. That information can be passed as a dynamic variable directly in the body section. We'll be covering in our next step. Next, generate the key from our panel. To get to generate the key, we need to get it setting. Within the setting option, you'll have a preference. Underneath the preference, you'll have I'll need to. So I'll be logging first to generate the key or token. Yeah, I'm logged in back into my account, and here I can again go back into the preference setting, and then I'll be asked many options here. Here I can generate the token here, regenerate token. So this is, I don't want the existing one, I can generate another one. So I'll take this and copy here in the notepad. I'll copy this here in the notepad just for the safer side, so that I can use this when I test this API by sending a test message to my mobile number. So just I'll save. This can be generated here because this is like authentication and authorization to send the request directly. API, this is what email to SMS. There are many API, different APIs, but our API requirement is just API, HTTP based API. This is the token where we can regenerate token, or you can add on the more tokens. It all depend upon you, how you want to use and how many tokens you want to generate and what purpose of token. What is the purpose of the token, specific token generate. These are different variety of use cases here. If you are intend to send SMS directly, email to SMS, anything receiving on email can be sent back to the SMS. That's how we can do. But in our case, we are really using API. So you will have a developer guide in order to understand how this API works and how it can be used with your application or any sort of application you are intend to integrate with. Let's go back to the document guide. So If you don't have installed, then let's come back to the Nagios server. This is the Nagios server I'm going to use to demonstrate to you. And we are wget is a package you need to have a pre-install in your Linux machine to test with the CLI to send HTTP request, or you can use curl or wget, whatever you want. But in this demo I will be using wget to show you how this API works. So make sure you have the internet with that Nagios server. This is a Nagios server running Core, Nagios Core 4 version, and everything is pre-configured here. Just I'm going to show you the integration part, that's it. So if you want more details, you can visit us or you can subscribe us. You'll get to know. We'll be publishing you the videos on Nagios and any advanced features of Nagios and other very important topics on cloud and DevOps and many more. So it's already installed in it, so I can run any Google sort of things. I can run any command based URL access, and this is a handy and tiny software package, handy tool to use the browser, like CLI based browser, to query a web server or web URL directly from the CLI command window. So we are going to send a test message using wget command line utility. Test message just to verify that the API is perfectly working fine. So let me copy this and paste into the notepad to change the key and other sort of information. Wget is the command I'm using. This is the URL API which we have covered in the developer guide of this particular. This is the developer guide I referred in order to achieve this. Let me show you. The first token, we need to change the token. Instead of using this one, I need to change it with this one till here. I'll be sending action would be send, and destination address is mine address. Destination address mobile number would be my mobile number, and the sort address I'll be naming. I can use any name here. The body is testing by techmark. This is how you can use here. Just copy this and try running it from the Nagios server. It should work fine. Yes, the SMS has sent. There is no issue. The token, the information has sent successfully. There is no issue at all. So it means if you still has the problem, then you can go back and correct and the number or API token key, but our request is worked very well successfully. There is no issue at all. Now next step, to action I said send and receive can be defined here. Source address, the company name, and body is the real message. Actual message is sent within the body section. Step to Nagios configuration for SMS integration. So this is a very important step where we need to configure or tweak the changes into them. You will have to define the host and service notification context with this command. In the Nagios we will be having this, and where you need to define the host notification portion for each user and service notification portion for each user. You have a requirement to send the notification to their mobile. So I'll be using these two notifications. So this is how you can define the dynamic variable in the SMS. That will be covering the below step. So let's go back into the command prompt and define. This is how you need to define the host service and modify the command. The portion, like defining the host portion for this particular Moise user called Moise. This is how you need to define. In this notification you are writing what command you are using, and command line, complete command line. This is actually the print message, can be sent it to the mobile, or it can be SMS email, or it can be voicemail. But in our case we are sending that dynamic information directly to the wget using the wget utility to the RESTful request. This is where I'm sending the information. This is about the host. Similarly we need for the service for each user. If I have 10 users, you need to define these two contexts. One is about host and the service. Means each user should have these portions to be defined in the command. So when anything occurs, can be sent to this area, and this will print the information and send it to, instead of email, it will be sent it to wget this this API URL with the token, and then the number. Here you can define the number for that particular user, and also body. This is where you are passing the dynamic information. So because that's how when something arrives or happens to the Nagios remote machine, that has to be triggered with the information about the Nagios information about the service failure or whatever the warning message it has, that has to be picked in the Nagios with the dynamic variable. That's how you are defining here. Dollar notification is a dynamic variable, and you are printing that information with the dollar here. So just to make the information more meaningful, we are writing here this way: type host alert, then we are passing the host name from which host the alert is triggered, what is the state of the trigger alert, warning or critical or recovery, whatever the alert it triggers, that can be captured from the dynamic variable and pass it to the RESTful request, so that the information can be printed directly to the email, SMS mobile, directly mobile. We need to change the RESTful token here because we are not using that token, so we'll be using this token here instead of this. So you can copy this token here and replace with the existing here in the, you can refer our site for complete details on it. So what I can do is I can copy this, and also I'll change that in the two areas. If even for the service section I need to change the token here. So I have changed this. This is the parameter or context I need to define for each user. This is for the about user called Moise, and then I'll be defining the same sort of information to user local Nagios etc object command. This is the area, and all the commands, printable stuff is covered with the command. Whenever something is identified, that can be defined here. So these are the portions I've defined for the configuration of Moise, and the user is Moise. These are two areas defined for the only user called Moise. Similarly, we can I'm saving this, and also the same information I will be covering for the other user here, second user. So save and exit. I'm adding the same portion for the another user. For each user, service and host portions for command has to be defined. The only need to change here is I'll be changing with this area. This is for the Mr. if to, I'll be changing here. Also I'll be changing in other place also. This is for the host area, host notification. I've changed successfully in the both. I'll next paste it. The hash is to just comment something meaningful about what you're writing in the command. So I'll go back and do this. So done, the changes has been done. So go back and see is how the command is written here. So you're defining a command name notify service to if to. This is the name you are creating for the command to uniquely identify for which user you are creating this. So print what you need to print when something is identified as a problem in the Nagios for the remote host. So Nagios notification has to send like location type, is it what type of notification you are sending, and service, if it is service description, if it is about the service, it has to print about the service, and if it is about host, it has to print about the host, if it is down or up state. For the host, service is up and down, again the same, and a host can have multiple services. All services can be defined and can be triggered as alert. That is only cover that printing the information in the email is done by this command configuration file of Nagios. Next, get back to the other areas. Third step, probably enabling mobile notification to users. So this is the very critical area where you will define which user and how the user context, like contact information for email contact is different, and the mobile contact for the user is different. So what you can do is you can get into the contact file of Nagios, and there you can define users, like whatever the user we have created in the contact. So here in the contact section I can define who all the users are supposed to receive the alerts. I'll say these are the users who has to receive the alerts. See, I'm defining the contact name Moise, generic contact, alias SMS. It's your choice, like alias can be anything meaningful. Here where you will have to define what command has to be executed when this contact information is used to send the notification. This is the command you need to use. That's what you defined in the command prompt, command configuration file. The same will be triggered. This is where the information will be printed, and the source of information sending it to will be decided by the command itself. So that's how I'm doing for the if2. And so you have to be very careful what you have defined there in the command for the user. For the host portion and the service portion, you have to copy the same name here, otherwise you'll end with the errors. So better you copy the correct name here. Next you need to copy the group. So you are creating a group here called SMS admins. You can copy it in the group section. The fourth step is step 4. Configure remote host for adding SMS notification to the host and the service for the remote host. For every machine you monitor with the Nagios has to be created a configuration file where you will define all the services that you intend to monitor from that remote machine. All this will be defined with the specific configuration file of that remote host. That name can be anything based on your requirement. You can change the naming pattern, and those naming patterns have no impact, no effect. Only thing you need to define what is the location that you store the configuration file associated to remote host. By default it resides in the user local Nagios etc object. If you don't want here, then you need to change the location directly from the Nagios configuration file. That is, I'll show you straight away. Nagios, this is the file where you need to show this is the file where you can relocate the configuration file based on your settings, or you can change this location, or you can store all the configuration files in one place somewhere you like to. This is where you need to change, and once you are changed it, then you need to basically reload. Service Nagios reload can do the changes to be reflected, and this is what the configuration file actually locates in. So now it's time to enable who has to receive alerts when this remote machine is having some difficulty or having some technical issue, or maybe some alerts. When to trigger alert, who has to receive alerts, all this can be managed from the configuration file associate to remote machine. This is where we are creating one CentOS CFG file for demonstrate and show you the demo, and we are naming it as a Linux server. Host name is CentOS, and the use is Linux server, and techmark server alias I can define anything, and the address for this would be the 13. Just I'm giving 13.50. all these parameters about the notification, when to monitor, how to monitor, is it to be monitored 24/7, and notification has to be sent 24/7, and who has to receive alerts, when to trigger alert, and a notification is enabled or not. You can disable if it by making the value from 1 to 0. No notification will be sent. So if it is 1, this is it means that you are enabling the notification. And who has to receive the notification? That means the email users and the SMS admins. Means all the users are member of SMS admins group. Everybody with this member is every user who has the membership with this group, which we have defined in the contact.cfg, will receive alerts on their mobiles. And also I'm defining contact groups here for when this remote machine is running HTTP service. If this is failed, or this HTTP service found as dead, then this only SMS group will receive alerts. Whereas the host is down, then admins, email users and the SMS users both will have an alert. To email users will have email alert, and the SMS mobile users will have alert on a mobile. So in the HTTP is also users from the SMS admins will receive alert. It means the users who the SMS alerts will be sent to mobile. So I'll just take you to the configuration file via CentOS 1. Here I am defining all this. I am telling this as admins, the email users and SMS admins both will receive alerts. For HTTP failure, only a particular group of users will receive alerts. So I'll save this. I'll say Nagios reload. If changes to get effect, you need to reload the service. Better to reload instead of restarting. Restarting will kill the running process, and then it hangs up the process that can affect the running jobs. Better to reload if you have not made anything add-ons or any plugins add-ons. Then better to run this reload option if you are played with only configuration file system. So it's done. If you reload, then the SMS alert can be triggered like this. This is where the check mark is the sender address and the testing was this way. If the host is down, then this is how the host information will be sent to your mobile. If host is recovered or anything, all alerts can be received this way. Let me show you quickly in the Nagios how it looks like. In the map it shows notification down. If I get into the notification side portion here, it should show me the SMS alert here, because I've just added that SMS part. So it will take some time. Just let me pause you for a while till the notification is triggered. Just let me pause this video. If you want, you can also monitor the logs here. In general log system, you can monitor log how the Nagios is frequently getting output for the query every interval. Also we have a log here in the val usr local Nagios logs, Nagios var logs. It should be here actually, Nagios log. This is the file which will also tell you about what is happening with the Nagios check. As we said, it checks the remote machine for the status or health every interval, like whatever the size, as we covered in the Nagios check parameter for the host, how frequently you want to check and what is the frequency of the check, and does it has to check every day, every month, every week. All these parameters you can define with the configuration file that is there for the remote host. As I said, CentOS 1, sorry, it has to end with CFG. So as I said, every day, every notification period and check period, how interval for this host check. This is how the sequence you can maintain here. I'm just waiting this information to trigger to show you how this SMS command will be executed and how user will receive the alert. This is where, as I shown you, this is how the alerts are received to your mobile, directly to your mobile. The users, all the member of that group will receive these alerts, even for problem and the warning and also for recovery. All this purpose, all this message will be triggered to users. Let's wait for some time till this triggers an alert. Here is the alert. You see, this is sent to if2 and this is sent to MOIS, and if you get into that, you'll get to know what is the mobile number it used to send the notification to the end user mobile and the administrator mobile. So thank you for watching. Keep subscribed us so that you'll get updated videos on different plugins and Nagios and many more. Thank you.